things remained normal for another 6 months or so, as they rounded the edge of the next year, and the teleportation devices were nearly ready to go, and would most likely be ready within the next few weeks. Delius was in the midst of trying to distract himself with a little bit of martial arts practice in the training room of the facility that he had been staying in. As Asa skipped into the room, the electronic door opened, and her entering with a wide smile and happy expression, joyous in the moment. Delius, you were not going to believe this! I bring such good tidings. I mean, really, this stuff is going to blow your mind, Asa said, interrupting Delius's training as he stopped going through his typical motions. Well, whatever it is, you seem to be fairly happy about it, Delius replied, as he put his hands in his pockets and began to stroll towards Asa. You still seemed very giddy. Okay, Delius, I have just a whirlwind for you. Honestly, there was something that I was keeping as a bit of a surprise for when the teleporters came online, that I thought was going to be the only good news that I could drop on you. But my recent studies have uncovered an entirely new field of study and research that I just can't wait to start on, Asa said, as she clung a stack of papers to her chest, hugging them tightly. Asa had begun to request paper copies of lots of things, as she had yet to master interacting with extremely delicate pieces of technology, and paper was far less expensive to replace when broken or torn apart, even if they did have to line it with a metal coating to enhance its durability. It was still fairly easy to replace. Okay, Asa, so what's this news that got you all worked up? Okay, well, I'll save the part that you're probably going to be more interested in for last. I don't want you getting distracted, as the first part is primarily something more for me. But you've become basically my closest friend. So even though I know you probably don't understand it, and it's maybe a little bit selfish of me, I want to ramble about it to you anyways. Is that a problem? Delius smiled a bit, and with a slight chuckle, he shook his head. No, it's not a problem, Asa. Ramble to your heart's content. I'll do my best to keep up. Okay, so recently, I've been diving very heavily into research into Hagara, your race, and as well as the radiation that both Hagara and you produce. And having you there to volunteer for tests has been exceptionally beneficial in that matter. Once again, I can't thank you enough for that. We've made more progress since you showed up than we have in centuries before. Now, mind you that some of this is pure hypothesis. I don't have much in terms of actual verification. I do have some things, but this is a very hard to prove theory. It all began when I was trying to work on a way to circumvent the energy that you produce in order to take clearer scans and have technology interact with you more effectively. For example, being able to actually give you a translating device would be a major boon. Not having to follow you around to translate everything would definitely help out. And I was actually successful in the matter, able to devise a way to cut through the radiation and get clear scanning information, which actually helped my research a great deal, as well as some other stuff. We're currently working on a prototype translator that can be applied to you, and should help you understand and communicate with other races, and cancel out that radiation that makes you hard to read, and have no negative consequences whatsoever. It only took about 5 months of research and development. But that is just a small taste of the joy that I bring you today. Because, you see, it's in trying to figure out a way to make the translators work for you and get clear scans by cutting through the radiation that I had to take an in-depth look at the radiation or energy that you produce yourself. Basically, dissect it with a fine-tooth comb, figure out how to get past it, and in order to do that, I needed to understand it. The curious thing about the energy that you produce is it shows up in basically every spectrum. No matter what type of energy you compare it to, it's comparable to all of them. Gamma radiation, delta wave frequencies, the heat that is given off by fire or nuclear fission. No matter what type of energy detection we use, your energy signal and the energy signal of Gara always shows up on the frequency, no matter what we're trying to scan for. To be honest, it was kind of infuriating. Normally, science works by deducing exactly what type of energy that you're dealing with and then responding accordingly in order to either bypass it or utilize it. But your energy seems to function on every level, almost as if it is every form of energy. Even that rainbow aura you give off when you start concentrating it falls into the same category, which is basically all categories. Even plasma weaponry has distinct energy traces similar to your own. Even our communication systems, radio broadcast, which is an exceptionally primitive form of communication, all seem to be interfered with by your energy, because your energy, in a basic sense, is very similar, and yet at the same time it's synonymous with every other type of energy. It's infuriating, or was infuriating, but also astonishing in a sort of way. So I had to ask myself the question of why exactly that energy seems to appear in every spectrum. And that's when I came upon a very interesting hypothesis. I believe that the energy that you produce is identical to the energy in what we call the infinite space. The infinite space? Delius replied, sounding a bit confused. Well, okay, I'll break it down to you this way, so you can understand. According to hypothesis, the entire universe originated from a single location. Originally, everything that exists was all part of one solid entity, a single point of infinite mass and infinite density. This point, at some time, exploded and scattered itself out throughout the entire universe and became everything that we know. The planets, the stars, the nebulas, all of that fun stuff that creates life as we know it, the building blocks and foundation of the universe. But it all came from that initial place, that core of infinite mass and infinite density, containing all of the substances that exist in the universe, and all the energies that exist in the universe. I believe the energy that you produce is a specific kind of energy that was available only when the entire universe was still focalized into that single point that we call the infinite space, in which all matter in the universe was in a single place at a single time. Once I had this hypothesis, I tried to do a little fact-checking and began comparing the radio signal for the universe itself. Basically, the scans that we take of the surrounding universe. By looking over these scans, we can pick up specific kinds of patterns. And basically, though I'm not going to bore you with the details, by comparing your energy signal to the overall scans of the universe itself, I found that they were identical. When compared to the universal radioactive signal that exists throughout our entire universe, the pattern matches yours exactly, as well as Hagara's. Don't you get it, Delius? The reason that your energy shows up in every spectrum is because your energy is every energy, or more akin to a purified form of it. I believe that all energy originates in the state that you have it, and that Hagara has it. For now, for the sake of yourself and Hagara, I'm going to go ahead and call it core energy. When you really think about it, when the entire universe was all in one place at one time, it was all just sort of one big core, wasn't it? And in this core, the primary energy was core energy. Your energy, Delius. It was only after the Big Bang, when the universe was finally created, that energy dispersed itself, disseminating into all of the countless forms of energy that we find in the rest of the universe. But somehow, your race, as well as Hagara, still seem to function on that core energy, producing it. And that gave me another line of reasoning and theory, a thought process as to the origins of Hagara.